The movie opens in Arizona. Older John Rambo now lives on his late father's ranch, which he shares with his best friend Maria Beltran and her teenage granddaughter Gabrielle, doing as a kind of uncle. Years after the final battle in Burma, Rambo is plagued with PTSD and is still haunted by memories of his death and bloodshed from Vietnam to Afghanistan to Burma. He also built a series of tunnels under his ranch. Gabriel asks if he can invite his friends to the tunnel for a party that Rambo has allowed. During the party, Gabriel is contacted by his friend Jezel. Jezel has information about Gabriel's long-lost father, Miguel. She explains her situation to Rambo, who knows the man, and tells Gabrielle that she doesn't need to look for a man who has never appeared in her life. He added that he knows how awful men can be and that chasing after them would only hurt her. It continues until the next morning when Gabrielle argues with Maria about going to Mexico to find Miguel in sight. Gabrielle pretends to be nearby and instead heads to Mexico to meet Jezel. She takes Gabrielle to Miguel's house. He speaks to her privately and firmly tells her that he wants nothing to do with her or her mother. I try to cheer myself up. There, Gabrielle talks to the man and has a drink before dumping the drug into it. The next day, Maria receives a call from Jezel that Gabrielle has gone missing. Rambo travels to Mexico and takes it upon himself to find Gabrielle himself. He stops by Miguel's house and bullies him by saying that he should have broken his neck years ago and that this whole mess is his own fault. Rambo then finds Jezel and quickly realizes that she sold Gabrielle to a trafficking ring after noticing Jezel was wearing Gabrielle's bracelet that belonged to her mother. We then find Gabrielle lined up among other kidnapped young women being held captive by the cartel. One of the leaders, Victor Martinez, drags women who tried to escape and threatens to kill them all if they try to escape again. Rambo forces Jezel to take him to the club where he took Gabrielle. There they discover the man Gabrielle was talking to. Rambo is watched nearby by a woman named Carmen Delgado. Rambo chases the man to his car and threatens him with a knife. When he refuses to speak, Rambo hits him hard in the shoulder with the rear end of the blade, then stabs him in the leg, viciously digs into the wound in his shoulder, and tells the man where Gabrielle has been taken. Painfully fractured his bones before revealing. Rambo drives to the location of the cartel base and can be easily found from there. Carmen also followed him. Victor is accompanied by his brother Hugo and a gang of men. Rambo leaves to meet with his brothers along with the men who surround him. He takes Gabrielle's picture of her and her brother recognizes her. The gang severely beats Rambo and Hugo threatens to hurt Gabrielle because Rambo stood up for him. Victor then marks Rambo's cheek with a V, leaving Rambo dead. He is rescued by Carmen, but the brothers torture Gabrielle. Over the next few days, Rambo recuperates at Carmen's house while Gabrielle is forced to traffic and become more passive by injected drugs. Meanwhile, Maria can only sit back and wait for Rambo and Gabrielle to return. After Rambo wakes up, Carmen tells him that her sister was kidnapped and killed by the Martinez brothers cartel. She has been investigating them ever since in hopes of defeating them. Rambo prepares to take back Gabrielle. Rambo infiltrates the brothel and slaughters the man running the place and several unfortunate customers. He orders the women to flee, but says that if anyone escapes, they will be killed. He manages to find Gabrielle's room, where she is nearly unconscious. Rambo picks her up and carries her out of there. The Martinez brothers later stumble upon the location and find out that Rambo is responsible for the deaths of all his men. Victor punishes Hugo for not killing Rambo when he had the chance. Rambo and Maria bury Gabrielle on his ranch. Maria leaves the house to go stay with her sister, and she tells Rambo that she will remain sad until the day she dies. Rambo, now fueled by hatred and revenge, begins to rig the tunnels and set traps across the ranch. He returns to Mexico to ask for Carmen's help in finding Victor. She is hesitant at first since she doesn't think that any good will come of it, but Rambo convinces her since these men are responsible for the deaths of people they both loved. Rambo and Maria bury Gabriel on his ranch. Maria left home with her sister and told her Rambo that she would grieve until her death. Now filled with hatred and revenge, Rambo manipulates the tunnels and begins setting traps throughout the ranch. He returns to Mexico and asks Carmen to help him find Victor. She is reluctant at first because she doesn't think anything good will come of this. Rambo finds Victor's house and begins killing every man in his path before reaching Victor. When Hugo arrives, he finds Victor's headless, bloodied corpse on his bed and a picture of Gabriel impaled in his chest. Rambo then backs up and throws Victor's head into the highway. Hugo and his men prepare for war and rob across the border through tunnels dug under the fence. The cartel drives to Rambo's ranch where he is waiting for them. The first van to enter the property is blown up by a roadside booby, one of his traps. The remaining men begin raiding the tunnels where they are impaled by other traps or blasted with C4 explosives. Rambo lurks in the darkness and crushes any man he finds, tearing them to pieces with his blade. As Hugo loses more and more men, Rambo approaches him and broadcasts a message over the radio to inform Hugo of his impending death. Rambo blows up the tunnel and buries the remaining men underground, but Hugo manages to get out and make it to the barn. Unfortunately, Rambo waits and shoots 4 arrows at Hugo, slamming him into a wall. Rambo approaches him and tells him that since Hugo metaphorically ripped out Rambo's heart, Rambo will literally do it to him. "Before I die, I will pull out my heart and show it to you." Rambo, wounded in battle, sits in a rocking chair on the porch. His narration says he is alone now that everyone he has ever loved is gone, but he continues to fight to keep their memories alive. Riding a horse into the sunset,